Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Janelle is off. Governor Steve Bullock still waiting to take the stage in Des Moines for the Liberty and Justice celebration, but some of his supporters sticking around until the end. Bullock, the last speaker of the 13 candidates at the Iowa event, the same event that propelled Barack Obama to the head of the pack and into the nomination and presidency. Well, the race for the Democratic presidential nomination has gotten a little less tighter, I should say. Today, Beto O'Rourke announcing that he is ending his campaign. Katherine Johnson reports on his decision and what else is happening in Iowa.
Former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke is the latest Democrat to quit the race for the White House.
We have to clearly see at this point that we do not have the means to pursue this campaign successfully.
O'Rourke rose to national prominence in 2018 when he challenged the Senate seat of Texas Republican Ted Cruz. Cruz won, but O'Rourke was noted for making a strong showing in a deeply red state.
You are on today.
O'Rourke officially entered the 2020 race in March. The announcement was rolled out alongside a Vanity Fair cover story in which the candidate proclaimed, quote, "I'm just born to be in it." However, O'Rourke's White House dream quickly fizzled. He struggled from the start and his poll numbers remained in the single digits. The news about O'Rourke came as the Democratic candidates gathered in Des Moines for a major party fundraiser. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is currently the frontrunner in Iowa, followed closely by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Warren has been discussing her $20 trillion Medicaid for All proposal.
What this is about is how we strengthen America's middle class.
During a rally in Mississippi, President Trump dismissed his would-be opponent.
He came out of Texas, a very hot political property, and he went back as cold as you can be.
The first votes in the 2020 presidential campaign will be cast just over 3 months from now in the Iowa caucuses on February 3rd. Katherine Johnson, CBS News, the White House.
Well, we've also learned that California Senator Kamala Harris is laying off most of her campaign staff in New Hampshire. She's said to be focusing on making a stronger showing in the Iowa caucus. Well, for Montanans buying individual health insurance policies on the federal online marketplace, open enrollment for policies started today. And this year, most consumers will actually see some lower prices. About 50,000 Montanans buy these policies, and about 85% of the buyers get a federal subsidy to help pay the premiums depending on their income level. It's part of the 9-year-old Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. 3 companies continue to sell these policies in Montana: Blue Cross Blue Shield, Pacific Source, and the Montana Health Co-op. This year, premiums for policies in Montana will decline on average by anywhere from 8% to 14%. State Auditor and Insurance Commissioner Matt Rosendale says the decline is because of a new reinsurance program passed by the state legislature and approved by the Trump administration. He says the program helps insurers cover high-risk claims, and that means an annual average reduction in premiums of $1,000 per consumer.
51,000 Montanans are going to be able to see a reduction in their health insurance rates, and they will not see any difference in their insurance bill or the delivery of their benefits, except that that bill is going to be a little bit lower. That comes out to $51 million that it's going to save Montana consumers this year alone.
The enrollment period continues until December 15th. The hearing to determine if Governor Steve Bullock's temporary ban on flavored vaping products will go into effect wrapped up today. That ban, announced on October 8th, would have gone into effect on October 22nd. The 120-day ban aimed to reduce e-cigarette use while authorities investigate what product or chemical is causing critical illnesses across the country, including Montana. But vape shop owners and the Montana Smoke-Free Association filed a lawsuit in Ravalli County asking for a preliminary injunction to stop the ban. It's not known when the judge will make a ruling on that. Well, you may have heard of No Shave November. Now a group of Montana State students has started No Vape November. MTN's Gabby Crevitt has more on how they're spreading awareness on campus.
Montana State University's Escape the Vape program started as an initiative to remind students on campus about their tobacco-free campus policy. Interns at University Health Partners have kicked off No Vape November as a way of spreading awareness, as well as incentivizing students to get rid of their vapes for good.
During November, they can trade in their device for a $25 gift card to a local Bozeman restaurant. And it's kind of a good incentive to those students that want to quit vaping or know about the research and kind of are being turned off from the social aspects that are involved with vaping.
I think I was inspired by just sort of seeing how prevalent it's gotten and seeing nationally even how the increase in students and even people as young as middle schoolers using these devices.
Since Escape the Vape started earlier this year, the campaign has collected 37 electronic cigarettes. And they expect to collect more as the bad news about vaping-related illnesses and even death continues to spread across the country.
Interns like Darby say the vape trade-in drive is also good for those looking for a sustainable way to discard their electronic cigarettes.
They have endocrine disrupting plastics, battery acid, electronic circuits all in them. So it's kind of like a cell phone. You can't throw your cell phone away.
Well, Escape the Vape will hold 3 more vape trade drives for the month of November and has plans of expanding their presence on campus as the issue continues to be a state and national concern. All right, turning to the weather now. It's nice to see a little bit of a warm up today, Bob, but we certainly had a kind of a bone-chilling October.
I know not only in October, we have found out that if you go from January through October, this has been the coldest year in the last 41 years, since 1978. And over in Miles City, this is the coldest October on record. But here in Billings, here's how we wound up with the month of October. Thought we'd share this with you. The average high temperature was 50 degrees, which, by the way, was 8.7 colder than average. The average low is 29.4, and that was 7.7 degrees colder than average. And the precipitation total, that was 0.84. That was about a third of an inch below normal. But the big deal was snowfall. Yeah, we had a lot of snow, 10.5 inches. That was 7 inches above average. And as you'll notice here, the peak wind gust, that was out of the northeast at 66 miles per hour. That happened on October 22nd. Now, what does November bring? Looks like we'll probably see temperatures, I think, possibly maybe warming up a little bit. We'll see what happens. Anyway, back to you, Russ.
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, the Montana Heritage Center Building Committee is getting close to finalizing a report for possible locations. The focus of today's second meeting was to go over the current draft and clarify or add any additional information to the report. They addressed the security concerns for the location, such as how to appropriately protect the state's artifacts, and general services responsibilities for maintaining the properties. The final location decision will rest with Department of Administration Director John Lewis.
We want to turn that report in as soon as possible, and with the input that we were able to get from the committee and the other members of the public making comment today, we still think we can get it turned into him by Thanksgiving.
People can still submit public comments through the Heritage Center website. All public comments go directly to the director's office for consideration on that project. Well, up next on Q2, one woman is coming clean about her plan to ditch plastics. We'll check out her business. And later in sports, some of the top football games in town. Both West and Central were here. Scott will have all the highlights coming up.
You're watching MTN News with Janelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.